Hello, I'm Andrew Sylvia, News Director here at WestfordCAT. I'm here with Ray Peachey. Ray is the person in charge of drug prevention here in Westford. He works with the Board of Health. And as you may know, recently there was a big drug bust here in Westford. Ray, I know you can't talk to us about that, but you can talk to us about drugs in general and some of the things related to that bust.
They got Butane Honey Oil.
What is Butane Honey Oil?
It's an extract from marijuana, the THC that's in the marijuana. And it's when they extract it, it makes it much more powerful. The you smoke a marijuana cigarette right now, they're up to 14–15% of THC, okay? You do this butane honey oil, and it's 80–90% of the THC. So you're going to get it faster as well as you're going to get it a bigger high. You have to be careful of it. Now, marijuana back in let's say the 60s was 3 or 4%. So up to 15.
Why the change? What's happened?
I believe they're able to do it now. You know, they're able to breed these, grow these plants in that existence. So, and they get the people to like it. They give them a little bit of high, and there they are. They're enjoying it. You know. So.
So it sounds like this is a dangerous thing.
Making butane honey oil is very dangerous, and if anybody wanted to go on YouTube, you can just see some of the explosions that's happened. But I can tell you how it's basically made is you take marijuana, you put it in a tube, and you have a bowl underneath. Then you take butane, and you pour it, and you keep pouring it over the marijuana leaves. That goes down, and that takes the THC out of the marijuana plant. So now you have it in a bowl, and then you boil it off. What happens is you also, don't forget, you're boiling it off, butane. So the heat will take and cause many explosions. Per se, 2–3 years ago, the big explosion in Tewksbury, and that was butane honey oil that they were making, and that actually moved the house a little bit on the frame. The explosion was so bad.
It was that big, huh?
It was that big, yes it was.
How about ingestion? How does ingesting the THC from butane honey oil compare to marijuana in terms of health effects?
It's not good for you. It affects all different parts of the body, and it can get into your system a little quicker. So, but you have to be careful. There really right now, there are studies out there, but they're done by the government, where marijuana right now is a Class 1 drug, which means it's right up there with heroin and opioids. So you can't get grants to study marijuana and see the effects, positive or negative. And that's one of the problems. The DEA has started to talk about wanting to maybe bring it down a class or two.
To a lower schedule.
To a lower schedule, so that they can take and give out grants and see what happens. See, you know, is all this stuff that we're talking about, the medical, you know, does it work? Does it not work? You can read both ways if you want. You know, everybody has their opinion, and they have this, well, here it is, that this does that. I know a study in Australia, and for 25 years they followed these kids from 13 to 38, and they had different levels of how much they smoked marijuana all the way through, and it did show in the study that it affected their IQ score. Not a great deal, but it did affect the IQ score.
It lowered it.
It lowered it, yes.
So I guess here in the United States, since there's prohibitions on those studies, it's hard to tell how marijuana compares versus cigarettes or alcohol or other legal drugs in terms of health effects.
Right, as of right now, yes. I mean, they can say that it has carcinogens when you're smoking in, okay? So that they know that is there. But again, to have the total effects of what it does it's still not there. It still needs to be studied.
Back to butane honey oil.
Yes.
Opioids are a big issue nowadays.
Yes.
How does butane honey oil compare to opioids, and how big of an issue is opioids around here?
Around here, it's, you know how I compare it to? We move to Westford, all the areas around us, to try and get away from the hardcore drug users, et cetera, all right? So if we have one or two problems, it's a big problem, you know, as far as I'm concerned, all right? We do not have the problems of these cities, you know, as many overdoses as they have. I mean, I heard some figures on the number of calls that the ambulances go to in Lowell and the surrounding areas, and it's amazing, you know, how many times they do knocking, you know, which is the thing that we as civilians learn how to do. It's very easy, and you not inject it, but you push it up into the nose, and it will take that opioid trip that you're having, and it will stop it. Now, don't forget, opioids basically slows the heart down. It can stop the breathing, and that's the problem. That's where these people, they died because they stop breathing. It just lowers everything down. They don't know how much to take. So that, you put the Narcan in, and what that does is it releases the opiates from the nerves in the brain so that the nerves can, the brain can function properly. So you don't just spray the Narcan into the nose and everything will be okay. It will be okay for 45 to an hour and a half. So the person still has to go to the emergency room or the hospital so that they can be taken off of the Narcan. If they don't, they can reoccur into it.
I see.
And what happens sometimes, okay, is, you know, they say, no, I don't want to go, and they take another hit of another opiate, and all of a sudden they have that one, plus the other one's going to come back, and now you have an overdose, which could lead to a fatal. Now,
so how does the danger with butane honey oil extracts compare to the opioid?
Well, it's basically still marijuana, okay? So as of right now, the best we know is that it will not get you, well, I can't say it won't get you addicted. The studies still have to be done. But you should not perish from it, okay? It's just a stronger version of it that you can smoke. You know, when it's done, it's a gooey substance, and it might even harden that you can actually break it off, put it in a pipe, light it, and then through the mouthpiece and smoke it.
Are there any other big drug issues here in Westford? Is cocaine an issue? Are there any other?
The biggest one that we have in general is heroin right now, okay? And because heroin at the present time is cheaper than marijuana. So that is really becoming it. And fentanyl, unfortunately, is starting to become very big, and that is a very dangerous drug. You know, that is, I mean, it's a legal drug when used properly for operations and different things they do in the hospital. But it is like 50 times more potent than morphine, let's say. So it really is there, you know, and they're putting these things on, you know, on in the opiate when they make it, you know, and they're doing whatever they can get you hooked on it. You know, once you're hooked on it, it's hard to get off. It's, you know, and the state finally decided that it's a disease. You know, once you're hooked, it is a disease, and you have to medically get off of it. I think it's very difficult to get off of it without some kind of method, you know, or other drug, you know, doing it legally.
You mentioned prescription drugs. How big of an issue is that in Westford? Are you seeing that?
I can say it's there. To know exactly how much, again, that would be the police department that you know has all that figures. But I know that it is being used. It is, and I can tell you different ways that if you're going to sell your house, if you really you're going to have an open house, people will come into the house. You usually leave the house when you do that. So people are free to roam the house. They go into a medicine cabinet. They take, you know, a third or half a bottle of your medications, and they put it in their pocket. They don't care about the house. They just want to get as much medication as they can. So still in the house, grandparents, finding a tremendous amount of people that are going to their grandparents' house and they take some of the medications. So there's all, you really need to lock these things up. You know, any type of an opiate that a painkiller that's prescribed by you will affect that.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Ray.
No problem. Appreciate it.